let's dive right into this explainer on HealSoma and the concept of clinical intelligence for the wellness economy. Listen, if you operate anywhere in the wellness space right now, you already know that consumer demand for data-driven health insights is just exploding. People want to know what's going on inside their bodies. But for the businesses actually guiding these clients, there has always been this massive, frustrating gap between wellness coaching and clinical lab data. Today, we're going to explore exactly how HealSoma's platform is finally bridging that gap.
To really understand the core problem we're looking at here, let's just put ourselves in the shoes of a wellness professional for a second. Imagine a personal trainer. They've got a client who is literally doing everything right, eating perfectly, training consistently. Yet they hit this brutal weight plateau, or they just can't shake this heavy, mysterious afternoon fatigue. The trainer's gut instinct says, hey, this is probably a hormone imbalance or a nutrient deficiency, but without objective data, they're completely stuck. So what actually happens next?
Okay, let's dive into this because usually the trainer suggests getting some labs done. And right when the client is most motivated, they fall into one of two traps. First up is what we call the traditional healthcare void. They go to a clinic, get a very basic, minimal panel done, the doctor says everything looks normal, and they leave with literally zero answers. Or they fall into the direct-to-consumer trap. They go online, buy a test, and suddenly receive this absolute mountain of raw medical data, but they have no professional coach to help them actually build a plan from it. In both of these scenarios, the wellness coach completely loses the thread. And this is exactly where clinical intelligence as a service steps in. Think of HealSoma as this invisible guide, a physician-governed platform built specifically for the wellness economy. It empowers a business to offer professional-grade functional lab testing, but, and here's the kicker, without needing to build any of the clinical infrastructure themselves. Absolutely no clinical background is required. That means a gym, a spa, or a solo coach doesn't have to hire clinical staff, they don't have to open complex lab accounts, and they definitely don't have to navigate a maze of medical compliance on their own. Now, the whole model relies on being fully white-labeled. The basic philosophy is, HealSoma powers it, but the partner presents it. It's your brand that stays front and center. The testing feels like a completely natural extension of that specific gym or med spa. Meanwhile, silently, behind the scenes, HealSoma acts as the engine. They're handling the kit logistics, the physician oversight, and delivering those results directly to the client. Getting started on the platform is beautifully simple. It's just a 3-step process. Step 1, apply and onboard to get access to your secure partner dashboard. Step 2, offer professional lab testing to your clients. And Step 3, guide them using structured insights. Because you aren't dealing with physical inventory or managing clinical staff, partners can go live and actually start generating revenue super quickly without any of the typical compliance homework. Now, what's really interesting about this setup is how easily businesses can self-identify their best fit, because there are 2 distinct ways to partner. On the wholesale track, partners can access panels at wholesale pricing and set their own retail margin. This is awesome for bundling testing into higher-tier coaching packages. Then, you have the referral track. This uses a custom link and has zero operational lift. It's completely hands-off, and partners just earn a commission on completed client orders. But I know what you might be wondering. Wait, how does a non-medical professional actually know which test a client needs in the first place? Well, that's handled by the Lab Navigator. It's a guided digital assessment the client takes before ordering. It asks about their health goals, their lifestyle, and then it automatically recommends the absolute best test for their specific situation. It uses plain language education, so it completely takes the guesswork out of test selection. And while that Lab Navigator is guiding the client, it's doing something just as important for the business, generating actionable wellness insights. As clients finish that assessment, the coach gets a structured, easy-to-read picture of their goals, priority areas, and support categories. So the crucial point is this. You get actionable intelligence that seriously sharpens your coaching conversations and personalizes your programming, but you don't take on the huge liability of handling raw medical data. Which brings us to a foundational quote that really sums up the whole platform. HealSoma governs the clinical, the partner owns the relationship. Everything here operates under strict physician governance, including a medical director who oversees all the clinical logic. By intentionally separating the raw clinical data, which goes straight to the client, from the actionable wellness insights, which go to the coach, the system protects the client's privacy while keeping the partner's business totally compliant and safe. Through this one single relationship, partners unlock a massive spectrum of functional testing. We're talking everything from a core foundation blood panel for basic metabolic health all the way up to an executive longevity panel for high performers. And for specific, stubborn concerns, there are advanced, top-tier options. the Dush Complete for hormones and stress, the GI Map for DNA-based gut health, and even the NutriVal for mapping cellular nutrition. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of what we're looking at. Consider that word trillions. To put this science into perspective, the bacterial cells in the human body literally outnumber our own human cells. This massive gut microbiome is deeply connected to things like digestion, mood, and inflammation. When a wellness professional can ground their coaching in this kind of deep cellular science, or find metabolic blind spots way before symptoms even appear, it's a real game changer. It entirely transforms the approach to wellness.
Because let's be honest, if a coach is only relying on symptoms alone, they're essentially just guessing. Symptoms like brain fog or weight resistance are incredibly vague. They can stem from a dozen different things. But objective biomarker data, that reveals the body's true stress responses and precise nutrient status. Getting that objective data provides earlier insight, and earlier insight creates an earlier opportunity for the wellness professional to actually step in and help. Let's move ahead and see how this builds, because joining a model like this means tapping into a platform that actively gets smarter over time. Under continuous physician governance, the platform is expanding. Very soon, it'll include things like lab uploading, so clients can bring in their past lab work to establish historical trends. With deeper assessments and a constantly expanding intelligence layer, the value you can provide to a client compounds year after year. Which really leads us to the ultimate philosophy of this entire approach. Measurement creates understanding, understanding creates motivation, and motivation plus a supportive coach creates change. This is the ultimate why this matters. It proves exactly why a partner-centered model completely outperforms testing sold in isolation. Raw data just isn't enough. People need a trusted guide. The goal is to get those objective measurements to spark the motivation that actually drives lasting change. So, we've explored how this model removes the traditional barriers, allowing functional lab testing to be seamlessly integrated into existing wellness brands. As a wellness professional, you already own the trusted relationship, and our clients are absolutely asking for deeper, better answers. So for any business out there looking to evolve and really look under the hood, the source material leaves us with one incredibly provocative question. You know your clients better than anyone, so why are you still working blind?